Area 51, a place believed to be untouchable territory, one of the most heavily guarded locations on Earth. If you go on Google and use the English keyword Area 51 to search, you'll get millions of results in just a few seconds. Over 90% of those are about how Area 51 is hiding information and the whereabouts of extraterrestrial beings. But is that really all there is? Could such a vast, mysterious, and impenetrable place be known solely because of rumors about aliens? Surely there must be something more important about Area 51 that we either don't know yet or have accidentally overlooked when talking about it. So now, let's take a deeper look at Area 51 once again to see whether humanity is foolish enough to hide aliens in a base with so many oddities like this one. This is the official introduction of a video by me. I'm very excited to talk with you about Area 51, aliens, and the things you might not know. We're in Nevada, USA. The road cutting through the desert here looks very modern. Anyone passionate about speed can feel it. It's the perfect road to floor the gas pedal. But this road could also take you somewhere you were never supposed to reach. That place is Area 51. In 2013, thanks to the Freedom of Information Act, the CIA released documents confirming the existence of Area 51. This is a top-secret military facility created during wartime. On the 8th of December 2013, the world was stunned. This man, 44th President of the United States, publicly mentioned Area 51. During an annual celebration at the Kennedy Center, President Obama said that one of the most common questions he got when becoming president was, "What's really going on at Area 51?" Understandably so, because for so many years, Area 51 has consumed enormous amounts of paper, ink, and brain power from the media, explorers, and conspiracy theorists alike. At that time, the White House officially acknowledged the existence of this secret base in a somewhat humorous manner. From that moment on, the first layer of mystery surrounding Area 51 was peeled away. This facility was no longer just a name the Pentagon wanted to keep hidden or avoid mentioning. Let's turn back time to the early 1950s when the Cold War was growing increasingly intense. Reconnaissance was one of the top priorities to ensure national security. But there was a huge issue that needed solving. American reconnaissance aircraft at that time weren't advanced enough. They either flew too slowly or too low and were always within enemy shooting range. Facing such urgent challenges, US President Dwight Eisenhower approved a secret program to develop a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft, the Lockheed U-2. According to specifications, the U-2 was a single-seat aircraft measuring 19.2 meters in length, with a wingspan of 31.4 meters and a height of 4.88 meters. Its empty weight was 6,760 kilograms, with a maximum takeoff weight of 18,100 kilograms. Powered by a General Electric jet engine, the U-2 could reach a top speed of 805 kilometers per h, fly at an altitude of 25,900 meters, and remain airborne for 12 hours without needing to refuel. However, this top-secret project could not be exposed in any way, not even its purpose. So in 1955, CIA officer Richard Bissell, Air Force Colonel Osman Ritland, involved in the U-2 project, and aircraft designer Kelly Johnson of Lockheed Martin collaborated to search for a suitable site in California or Nevada to test the U-2 aircraft prototype. The criteria were clear: a remote location, out of the public eye, and even off the grid. On the 12th of April, 1955, a team conducted aerial surveys to scout possible locations, aided by Lockheed Martin pilot Tony LeVier. While flying over a dry lake bed known as Groom Lake, they noticed a strip of land that had once been home to two small airstrips built by the US Army Air Force as the predecessor of the US Air Force during World War II. However, the site had been entirely abandoned since the 1940s. This place was eventually absorbed into the nearby testing grounds of the US Atomic Energy Commission in Nevada and was designated on maps as Area 51. And just like that, it officially became the chosen site. In July 1955, Area 51 began operations to test the U-2 aircraft. President Dwight Eisenhower signed an order restricting flights over Groom Lake. The CIA, along with the Atomic Energy Commission, the Department of Energy, and the US Air Force, oversaw activities at Area 51. In the following years, planes came and went, bringing personnel into Area 51. The runway was extended, hangars were built, and over 100 housing units were constructed. Over the decades, this secret military base remained hidden from public view. All satellite imagery of the base was scrubbed from government data. The US government worked hard to ensure no unauthorized access to Area 51. To enter the site, one must go through intense security checks and receive a formal invitation from the military or intelligence agencies. The entire base covers an area of 36,000 hectares. It includes aircraft hangars, guard posts, radar stations, housing, offices, and runways. The infrastructure was designed so that aircraft could quickly take off and land, while remaining undetected by satellite surveillance. The roads leading into Area 51 are also hard to spot. Even today, Area 51 is still surrounded by thousands of hectares of desolate desert. The Air Force even seized nearby civilian lands to keep curious eyes at bay. The only way to observe the base is by climbing to the top of Tikaboo Peak, 42 kilometers away, where you can catch a glimpse of the runways and experimental aircraft, but only briefly, before the lights go out and Area 51 is swallowed once again by eerie, silent darkness. Most Area 51 personnel travel to the site via Boeing 737 or 727 aircraft. Of course, that's what we know today. Back in the 1970s or 1980s, no one knew a thing. These planes depart from a special terminal at McCarran International Airport, operated by defense contractor EG&G. There are no fences surrounding Area 51, only orange posts and warning signs that prohibit entry and photography. All employees, whether civilian or military, must sign strict confidentiality agreements. The buildings at the base are designed without windows to prevent anyone from seeing anything unrelated to their duties. In 1988, a Soviet satellite captured images of Area 51. Popular Science magazine published one of the photos, giving most Americans their first real glimpse of Area 51. By the year 2000, the Federation of American Scientists released a set of high-resolution Soviet satellite photos. These images showed the dramatic growth of Area 51 during the late 1960s. Since then, and especially after the launch of Google Earth, secrets about Area 51 have become increasingly difficult to contain. Meanwhile, the U-2 aircraft could fly at altitudes over 18 kilometers, a record no other plane had reached at that time. And that's exactly what sparked many of the UFO sightings reported near Area 51. When a U-2 took off at dusk, its silver wings would reflect sunlight, making it appear to pilots flying at lower altitudes as a strange, glowing object mistaken for a UFO. That simple explanation, of course, isn't nearly enough to satisfy the long-held suspicions harbored by the public. However, the public debate surrounding Area 51st of May never cease, simply because the information released by the US government is mostly what people have already suspected for decades. What people care most about remains a clear and satisfactory answer regarding UFOs and extraterrestrial beings at Area 51. In 2015, NASA Administrator Charles Bolden confirmed that extraterrestrial life does exist, but emphasized that aliens are not being hidden at Area 51. He stated that since aviation research is conducted at Area 51, it's understandable that people assume aliens are involved. The existence of the entire base had been kept secret for decades and was surrounded by countless speculations about unidentified flying objects. Perhaps it all began with this man. On the 24th of June, 1947, Kenneth Arnold claimed he saw 9 unidentified flying objects in the sky forming a V shape. Arnold was flying his private aircraft over Washington state at the time. Because he described the objects as resembling saucers skipping across water, the term flying saucer was born to describe this alleged alien spacecraft. Then, in July of the same year, an unidentified object crashed on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. Although officials at the local Air Force base claim it was a weather balloon, many people believe it was the remains of an alien spacecraft. Fast forward to 1989, a man named Robert Lazar appeared on television and shocked the world by claiming he had participated in a military program studying alien technology at a facility not far from Groom Lake. Lazar asserted that the US government had at least 6 alien spacecraft stored at a base called S4, located near Groom Lake. He even described seeing a UFO floating above the ground bearing the words, "They are here." This marked the first time someone publicly revealed secrets about Area 51 on national media. Lazar said that defense contractor EG&G hired him to help reverse engineer alien spacecraft technology to be used for US military armored vehicles and energy production. He also claimed to have discovered a new element 115, which powered the alien ships. Lazar's statements brought massive attention to UFOs and Area 51. However, his credibility has been called into question. Investigators pointed out inconsistencies, such as Lazar's claim of studying at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, though no records support his attendance. Lazar insisted the government erase his academic and employment records to discredit him. Even the US Air Force and Los Alamos National Laboratory denied that Lazar ever worked with them. With such unsubstantiated claims, it's difficult to say whether Bob Lazar is a credible whistleblower, simply someone trying to flex with things he never had. Not all Area 51 legends revolve around gray-skinned, big-headed beings. Many stories mention a shadowy organization allegedly aiming to create a new world order using UFOs and alien tales as distractions from their real agenda. The most notable of these is an organization with a strange name, MJ12. Surely, we haven't forgotten the world-shaking event 69 years ago when a mysterious flying object crashed in the southwestern US desert near Roswell, New Mexico. Although the US military initially confirmed the incident, they quickly retracted their statements and quietly covered up the incident. Soon after Roswell, President Truman personally signed an executive order establishing a secret task force dedicated to handling UFO-related matters. This group's duties included erasing UFO evidence, fabricating fake stories, and planting misleading information at suspected alien landing sites. In other words, their mission was to ensure that the average person would never have enough evidence to believe in UFOs or extraterrestrials. This group was known by the codename Majestic 12, MJ12. Established in 1947, MJ12 reportedly consisted of 12 top experts including military leaders, high-ranking government officials, and brilliant scientists. Only they were authorized to know of and participate in MJ12 activities. These elite individuals were considered the core members of the organization. For 37 years, no one knew about MJ-12 until a classified document was leaked in 1984, revealing its name and mission. According to the document, MJ-12 was formed 2 months after Roswell, with a broader objective not just erasing alien evidence, but also recovering alien spacecraft and rescuing extraterrestrials that had crash-landed. The goal was to ensure the US government's exclusive access to extraterrestrial beings, obtain advanced technology from alien civilizations, and prepare for interplanetary migration in the future. Naturally, once the document was leaked, the FBI quickly concluded it was entirely fabricated, a product of the vivid imagination of UFO and alien conspiracy theorists. The CIA's disinformation campaign reached its peak with a series of claims that Majestic 12 was purely fictional, created by people obsessed with UFOs and extraterrestrials. Rumor has it that anyone who truly knew of Majestic 12's existence and broke their oath of secrecy would suffer staged accidents, carefully crafted to appear natural. Let's go back to 1984, when the 8-page MJ-12 document was anonymously mailed to UFO researcher Jamie Shandera. Coincidentally, this was also when the name Dulce Base began making headlines following revelations by American UFO hunter Paul Bennewitz. According to Bennewitz, the US government spent roughly $17 billion constructing an underground base as part of a secret collaboration with extraterrestrials aimed at dominating humanity. Later, investigations uncovered an underground facility beneath Archuleta Mesa, located on the border between New Mexico and Colorado. This was identified as the Dulce Basea, allegedly a top-secret military installation. These two extremely guarded locations, Area 51 and Dulce, may be hiding alien spacecraft recovery projects, unknown extraterrestrial materials, rescued alien life forms, and interplanetary vehicle development. As for Area 51, it's widely believed to specialize in top-secret weapons testing. Some speculate that experiments conducted here include weather control machines, mind control technologies, and other secret operations allegedly carried out under Majestic 12. With its ultra-tight security and the ability to erase any traces of media attention, the deeper secrets of Majestic 12 remain sealed to this day. Though the US government has officially declared that Majestic 12 is no longer active, such a statement may well be a confirmation that MJ-12 continues its operations in the shadows, pursuing projects unimaginable to the general public. To get a clearer picture of Area 51, we must trace the timeline of its development more closely. Because parts of Area 51 were used for aircraft testing and pilot training, the public often spotted fighter jets overhead. Some of these aircraft were so unrecognizable to the naked eye that many assumed they were of alien origin. Some observers noticed that UFO sightings coincided with the arrival and departure schedules of secret military aircraft operating out of Area 51. Unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, of that era look especially strange due to their lack of cockpits and doors fueling public imagination. Additionally, training flights often use high-intensity lighting to distract from missile launches or to mask the takeoff and landing of secret aircraft. UAVs are believed to be among the earliest inhabitants of Area 51. These drones could reach altitudes of 21 kilometers and were highly effective for reconnaissance missions. However, the CIA and Lockheed Martin soon realized they needed more advanced aircraft as the Soviet Union's missile technology was rapidly improving. In 1960, the Soviets shot down a US UAV, proving the growing threat. American engineers then began designing a high-speed aircraft known as Suntan, capable of reaching 3,200 kilometers per h, which was expected to succeed the fallen UAV. but the US government eventually scrapped the project due to its astronomical cost. In June 1957, Area 51 was temporarily evacuated for a series of nuclear-related tests. By September 1959, the CIA resumed operations at the site to develop the A-12, the predecessor to the SR-71 Blackbird spy plane. The A-12, constructed from titanium and shaped like a flying saucer, led to widespread reports of UFO sightings. A 2009 Los Angeles Times article speculated that the aircraft shape and speed might have misled commercial pilots into believing they had seen alien spacecraft. Afterward, Area 51 became the testing site for Lockheed Martin's SR-71 Blackbird, a strategic reconnaissance aircraft that could fly at 27,400 meters, 90,000 feet. The SR-71 was hailed as the true successor of the A-12. In 1996, when the CIA declassified details about the Blackbird program and its development at a secret location, the agency only referred to a site near Nevada, carefully avoiding the name Area 51. Besides domestic aircraft, the US government also secretly analyzed Soviet planes at Area 51. In 1967, the first MiG-21 landed at Groom Lake for testing and evaluation. Some pilots began referring to the restricted airspace above Groom Lake as Red Square. In April 1984, Lieutenant General Robert M. Bond of the US Air Force was killed in a plane crash near Area 51. While the military claimed he was flying a test aircraft, Associated Press later reported the plane was in fact a Soviet MiG-23. Despite its contributions, Area 51 faced potential decommissioning after decades of use. In 1980, the US government approved a radioactive soil cleanup program around Groom Lake. Satellite images later showed teams removing soil from the area. Several towns near Area 51 reported unusually high cancer rates, and many residents filed lawsuits against the government, claiming government experiments had adversely affected public health. In the 1980s, employees at Area 51 reportedly dug massive open pits, dumping hazardous waste, then burning it with jet fuel, inhaling large quantities of toxic chemicals and fumes in the process. According to the lawsuit filed by some former Area 51 personnel, they requested protective safety equipment such as decontamination tables, but were denied due to budgetary issues. When these workers offered to bring their own personal gear, the managers responded that for security reasons, no external equipment could be brought onto the base except gloves. Several employees fell ill after repeated exposure to airborne contaminants, and some even died. In September 1995, the 42nd US President Bill Clinton signed an executive order to clean up Area 51 based on the results of an Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) investigation at the site. The order classified Area 51 as an Air Force installation near Groom Lake, Nevada, and permitted the EPA to continue environmental assessments. However, most reports were censored and could not be released to the public. President Clinton's special order allowed continued secrecy over Area 51's documentation. Does this mean new projects are underway at Area 51? Some believe the US military continues to focus on drone aircraft technology there. Other programs remain in question, such as the rumored supersonic Aurora reconnaissance aircraft. Today, Area 51 remains active. According to Google Earth data, many new structures have been built and expanded there. On early mornings, keen observers still spot strange lights flickering in the skies above Area 51. Thus, occasional images of the base continue to surface and raise suspicions. Private photographer Gabriel Zeffman known for aerial shots of the secretive military flight testing center in Nevada, has released the latest snapshots of the facility. Zefman's images resemble earlier ones, but offer a unique vantage point of a long hangar-like structure known as the Open and Hide Shelter, and within it appears something of an unusual shape. The hangar measures approximately 36 meters wide by 97 meters long and is situated along a taxiway connecting the base's main ramp area to old, now closed runways. This taxiway extends to a newer, active runway to the east. Around 2005, the north and south ends of this taxiway were extended nearly 3 times their original length to encompass the hangar. The following year, wall-like structures were added on both sides of the expanded facility. These walls block views into the hangar, not only from the main runways but also from curious onlookers on Tikabu Peak, several dozen kilometers away. By 2007, an extended turntable had been installed at the south end of the hangar. This allows an aircraft to enter the shelter, turn around, and taxi back onto the runway. This structure isn't visible from satellites and is intended to conceal flight testing from the most prying eyes. It functions as a site close to the runway, where personnel can perform final checks, service malfunctions, and even arm the aircraft all while keeping it hidden. Tactical aircraft typically undergo these procedures in the open at runway's end during public tests. Similarly, experimental planes landing at Area 51 can be quickly moved into this hidden shelter. The facility also enables rapid turnaround for follow-on flights. By 2007, a row of 4 antenna masts often associated with drone operations was built along the east side of the shelter, suggesting more similar installations around the base. However, examining the latest images inside the Open and Hide shelter, it's impossible to definitively identify what's within. To the naked eye, the object resembles a low-set dagger-shaped form with a raised portion toward the rear, like a cockpit. It might be a high-speed test aircraft or an unmanned drone body sitting very close to the ground. One hypothesis suggests it might be a malfunctioning aircraft that lost landing gear, hence being stored in the shelter until it can be safely removed, discarded, or repaired. However, this remains speculative. It could just as easily be part of a radar dish. The images aren't high enough in resolution to draw firm conclusions. Based on limited visual evidence, the closest match is the Martin Marietta X-24B lifting body. This aircraft was part of a major US Air Force and NASA program in the 1970s to explore the concept of lifting body hypersonic aircraft. The X-24B began flights in the mid-1970s, and a follow-up initiative aimed to develop a supersonic test plane built on lessons learned from that program. Lockheed planned to do this with the X-24C, a larger and more powerful version of the X-24B, designed to reach supersonic speeds at high altitude using a jet engine. Unfounded claims suggest this program evolved into a secret project codenamed Cooper Coast, which allegedly flew out of Area 51 in the 1980s. Certainly, advanced hypersonic research never fully ended then. Many high-speed test programs involving exotic vehicles likely took place at the base over decades. Today, Skunk Works is reportedly pursuing a supersonic aircraft using combined cycle engine technology. This plane also has a narrow, dagger-like shape reminiscent of the object seen in the images. Once more, we cannot assert any one of these aircraft matches the object in the shelter photos. It's unsurprising that aircraft remain inside most covered hangars at Area 51. It hints at space constraints for ongoing and completed projects. Test aircraft are built for very limited flights, and burying old prototypes around the site may be a safe way to free up space. A puzzling aspect of this story is the shelter's opening and closing mechanism, featuring overhead doors at each end, not side-rolling gates as some have mistakenly thought. Why was it open when the photos were taken? It may indicate it was in use at that moment. Yet, it seems unlikely such a shelter would be used for testing just before Christmas, as base activity normally halts around major holidays. As with many things related to Area 51, the object remains a mystery. We may never find an aircraft that perfectly matches what's seen in those photos or that even existed. This is one of the enduring hallmarks of Area 51. 6 decades of carefully veiled secrecy around the base. Area 51 is no longer entirely out of reach. We've seen more images of it, more clearly and candidly than ever before. Someday, when new information emerges, we'll explore it again. And now, I would like to end my video here. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos. Thank you for watching the video. Please give it a like, follow me, and don't forget to leave a comment.